just in terms of, as we've been talking about, a lot of people are testing, trying different networks. Ryan, I've spoken with you at length about it, and you're finding success, but also there's some issues. So why don't you start really with where you're finding the most success at this point?
Yeah, so I guess we start where our learnings came from. A lot of our testing has been done on Amazon, right? We were a very early mover onto that platform, so we had a good baseline of what we wanted to expect when we were looking elsewhere. And when we started looking around, obviously other retailers, Walmart.com specifically, tried replicating, I guess, the secret sauce that Amazon was doing with their retailers. And, we jumped on early there. Took them a while to get up to speed. They're slowly getting there, but it's interesting how similar the two platforms are with their offerings. Although Walmart is much cheaper and is providing us with much greater returns, you would think that obviously Amazon, still a beast for us, still doing very well. But because of some of the rules that they've set up at Walmart, it's been very beneficial for us because we were also very early to jump on to their platform when they started selling direct to consumer on their website, making it a primary focus of growth for them. So we've done that there. And then looking elsewhere, I was telling, was it Kerry earlier yesterday, that what we really did was we sat back and really reflect on what we need to know the most, and which was our customers. Like, if you don't understand where your customers are, you can be shooting all over the place and you're never really going to reach them. So we went back, really built out our, consumer profiles, found out where they were, searching and listening. And, we did a lot of testing. We're all, always trying new things. And one of the things that we had a lot of success on last year was Spotify, actually. Our consumers, specifically being in the performance nutrition space, I guess, like to listen to music while they work out. So once we recognized that, we started, venturing off and doing a little bit of testing into Spotify, and it was a great return for us, just because we knew, our customers are listening at the gym on these platforms. So how do we reach them while they're there? So it was a very good return, and yeah, just that's it. Just knowing who your customer is and where they're going to be is, I think, the most important, because it doesn't matter where you're spending media wise. If your customers aren't actually on that platform, it doesn't really matter.
Of course. Well, before I want to welcome in Kerry.
I'm sorry about that. I was there, but you guys couldn't see me.
Oh, okay. So we're just going on without you. But well, I'm so happy you are here and you got in safely. And we'll chat later, because last time we were at an event together, we were sharing cocktails, and now we're virtual. So, anyway, let you take over and enjoy the rest. Okay.
Sure. Yes. Thank you, Lisa. And hey, Clayton and Ryan, good to connect again.
Yeah.
Great. No, and I think we do some quick introductions. I'm Kerry Curran, and I lead a lot of the performance strategy and growth for the GroupM performance marketing channels and Catalyst. But yeah, as Lisa said, I'm a big fan of the Media Post conferences, obviously better in person than remote, but glad to be here. Clayton, you want to take it away?
Sure. I'm Clayton McLaughlin, Managing Director of Chicago and Labelium Play, which is our programmatic offering that we launched a couple of weeks ago. So I'm with Labelium. It's a global agency. In the US, we have 3 offices in Chicago, New York, and Miami. We have 3 offices in Canada and another 20 or so across the globe. So excited. And I actually am here in person. So this, while I do have a virtual background because I'm sitting in my room, I am actually at Pinehurst. It's been exciting just to see people and shake hands like? and act kind of normal. There's a lot of energy for obvious reasons, I think. So it's great to see some people again. It's exciting.
It's good to hear.
Yes. And I am Ryan Holleley. I work with Glanbia Performance Nutrition. I am their Senior Digital Marketing Manager. And over the past, I want to say, year and a half, very focused on our direct-to-consumer platform. I'm also just outside of Chicago. Our office is in Downers Grove, and I'm up here in Naperville. So if you've ever been up this way, it's very nice.
Excellent. Well, thanks, guys. So We'd be remiss to speak about retail media without kind of talking about the rapid evolution. And even before everything changed on a dime, March of 2020, the industry was or has been moving quickly with new ad tech partners, new retailers offering new advertising capabilities and targeting. So it's definitely been quite a whirlwind. So I'd love to hear, Clayton, how you've been kind of navigating that for your clients as across.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Mhm.
In and out. Yeah, great. Okay. I'll give you the bad answer. It sort of depends, right? So client by client, we've had to go in different directions, and certain clients, starting as far back as March of last year, had to make drastic changes to shut things off, to change creative, to plug money in one place or pull money out of another. So there was a lot of, like Kerry, you were saying, a lot of those critical pivots that we had to do really quickly. I think that's why I love about digital media is we were able to do a lot of that in a day or two. The creative pieces and some of those came together a little bit longer. You couldn't have people hugging, you couldn't have people like in backyard barbecues anymore and things along those lines. So that was an interesting, actually that led to a lot of, I think, insights in how we can get better moving forward from a creative perspective, because that's still so crucial. But yeah, it depended so much on client by client basis, what we were seeing as to what they were doing, and then how quickly they have recovered and how quickly we've gotten back to budgets. And for the most part, we're pretty much back to normal from a budget standpoint, but now we're starting to see inventory issues, which are popping up more and more too. And so in some cases, it's less about where we invest or what channels we invest in, and it's more about what level of the funnel we investing in. We're having to start to push a little bit more on the branding side, because we wouldn't actually have the inventory to fulfill sales that we were driving. So there's a lot of decisions like that are being made that are obviously business driven. But I think a lot of trends around, buy online, pick up in store, and what that has done for the retailers themselves. So if we're on the actual retailer client side, or anybody that's selling inside of said retailer, whether it's Walmart or advanced auto parts or any of those sort of pieces, it's been an interesting world too. So a lot of shifts, I think, that were already sort of happening, but it certainly accelerated those to the nth degree and sort of pointed out where we were good and where we weren't very good. So that was the interesting part too.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's a good segue into my next question is, how are you, either Ryan, your own budgets internally, or Clayton with your clients, like, how are you seeing prioritization of that drive to store, online, or last mile delivery platform? Like, is it purely by funnel, or are you looking closely at performance?
Personally, it always comes down to performance. You got to make sure, you got to make sure that, you're selling the product at the end of the day. And, I think we talked about this yesterday, was how important it is to keep track of your consumption, to make those quick changes. I want to say 3 years ago when I was here, we didn't have the level of insights that we have today. So it was more, takes longer to plan, but now we're able to make decisions very quickly by very focusing in, on that consumption data. And yes, we tested a lot, at the start of COVID, Clayton, we were the same way, money was like, don't spend any more money when you're driving customers to these channels because they can't go buy them there. So what did we do? We just were able to make shifts real quickly, although yes, the creative was a disaster. But then luckily, prior to, we had already started investing in things like Instacart. We were getting set up there prior to COVID, and we knew, potentially that could be a big thing. Another big one for us was BOPUS. You're right. Buy online, pick up in store was very big during the pandemic. So we shifted a lot of our funds over to there to help to actually build business cases for us with Walmart.com specifically, because we were able to really recognize quickly that as we were spending online through their platform, that a lot of their in-store sales started to pick up. We were very new to Walmart and in-store, and then obviously with their .com. So it was very interesting to see, the quick returns we were able to get just by spending on their .com platform, and see the returns actually in store for their BOPUS, or, just driving awareness to the in-store availability of the products.
For sure. And Ryan, to piggyback off of what you were saying earlier with Lisa, your website has really been a valuable asset in driving traffic and getting to know your customer. You want to expand on that a bit?
Yeah, definitely. I want to say our organization was very good at shipping pallets. We were a very good partner to our GNCs and vitamin shops, but it wasn't very much of a focus for us, the direct consumer platform. And with my background, I was a buyer. I worked for a retailer. So I've always been kind of harping on the fact that, like, hey guys, we need to start doing this, especially for a marketing standpoint, because it helps you get that data you need to know who your customer is. And with us building out our consumer profiles, we made the decision that, especially when COVID hit and all these funds were coming away from brick and mortar, where to spend them, it was our chance to really start investing in our direct consumer platform. And we saw huge returns, right? Like everyone was shopping online. I think everyone experienced the longer shipping times with Amazon at the start of COVID. So people were looking for other options. And I think luckily for us, it was almost like a perfect storm. We had just redesigned our website. We had just moved on to a new platform. We got a new warehouse. So we were ready to go. And we were really able to jump on that. And we've seen the growth ever since then, because, we made that investment early on at the start of COVID.
Yeah, that's great. And so how are you using that data to prioritize across the retailers?
So one of the things we had on our site a few years ago, we partnered with a company called Price Spider, because when we were in our warehouse transition, we didn't want our customers coming to our website and just leaving and not being able to know where they were going. So we added a where to buy button widget onto the website that showed us specifically where they were going and where they were converting. And obviously the largest of the bunch was Amazon, but we needed to know that to know why they were leaving, right? Was it due to price? Was it, faster shipping? And once we did that, we knew that we had to make changes in the way we did business on our own website to be more competitive. We're not afraid of our customers going to other retailers. We just would like to know where they're going and what they're buying. And this allowed us to do that. Were they going to these retailers and being poached by other brands because of the marketing on Amazon? And, it gave us basket level data to see what was being purchased with our products. So we can also, create bundles on our own website. But yeah, I think it does give you a lot of insights into who your customer are and who they want, or what they want, and where they want to buy it from. So it give you the insight on what's making them choose another retailer over yours.
No, I think that's a great approach to prioritize and get to know your customers.
Yeah, it also helps our sales team when they go to these other retailers and they're trying to compete with Amazon. Everyone is nowadays. It's like, well, why is Amazon better than us? Well, we can show you why.
No, definitely. So, and with the retailer relationships, I know it's always a little bit interesting to see with the shopper marketing teams that have owned those retail for the in-store relationships, and then with the conversion of online. So, Clayton, in your experience, how have you seen your clients kind of navigate the relationship between the shopper team and the merchandising team versus the online or digital e-com team?
And for the second time, I'll give you the depends answer. But it does. I mean, some clients and some brands are better at it than others from an integration and sort of a co-op standpoint. I think there's, depending on the structure of the organization, certainly that helps a lot, I think. But I feel like the integrations over the last year have been much tighter and much more effective than what they were prior. I think the traditional retail ownership department, wherever that sat within an organization, is recognizing that, frankly, they just don't know shit about digital, and it behooves them to work with a group that does. And as an agency, and you've probably seen the same sort of thing, but that's where I think our sort of consulting and strategic capabilities can really help out an organization, where we can bring that sort of discussion and not even just support them, but talk to them about how that group can be organized and how they can work together, and how we've seen success across other brands in some of those instances as well. So I think it's interesting for, from an agency perspective, to see how we fit into that too, and how we can facilitate integration between the teams. and still be able to provide our own sort of consulting and the data and insights and elements and things that are valuable, as an agency to provide to the table, as opposed to being the media buying, because in some cases that's already done, right? It's negotiated up front or whatever it might be. And then we just have to be the, you have to pull the trigger on the end of it. That's what they need, which is sort of traditional agency work. But I think, we want to move more towards that consulting piece. And I think that becomes more valuable to an organization as a whole as well. So I would say, I feel like it's gotten better, and there's a lot less silos and a lot less ownership over and protection of those, because I think they just see that they don't know enough to be effective. And so they're being smart enough to open it up to people who do.
Yeah, no, that's a really valid point. And yeah, it is always tricky with those relationships. And so what would you, for either of you, what would your advice be to folks in the audience who are struggling with that same internal silos, fighting over the same advertising dollars?
Clayton, or
Ryan.
I'll jump in. Yeah,
Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, being on the brand side and the marketing team side, it is really tough, and all the sales teams are fighting for the same dollar. They want to show that their customers best, and it's very tough in the digital space to show that, hey, spend elsewhere other than Amazon. Like I said, for us, it's one of our biggest customers. So, we always use them as a benchmark. So that it always comes down to what can you do for us that, would make us want to leave that. And it is you have to set aside some of your budget for these smaller accounts and for these tests and, these little trials that you're going to do on different platforms. And we do it all the time. It's just, if you just looked every day at the bottom line, you'd be doing one thing. So you have to be able to sit back, take in all the proposals, and know that within your budget, there's a space for trials and tests and, working with new platforms or whatever it may be, and dedicate it and, actually do it. Don't cut those things out, because if you don't, learn or do something different, then you'll never know. Which, like I said, I keep going back to the Walmart thing, but their sales at the start were not very strong and their capabilities weren't the greatest, but we stuck with it, and now we're really seeing a great return on our investment. So it's just sticking with it, knowing you have to make those strategic partnership decisions, like who are your big guys going to be and what level of funding are you going to provide to them, and really just know that that's going to lead to the decisions to spend wherever you're going to.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Ryan, one thing I thought, sorry, Clayton, one sec. So Ryan, one thing you said that I thought was very valuable, especially to the sponsors participating today, is that you need to be open to hear the sales pitches for all of the opportunities out there. And I think it's a challenge when there's so many, and there's new ones every week, especially with the commerce ad tech. But I thought that was good. As someone that gives presentations and pitches myself, I thought that was valuable advice.
No, definitely. I try to set aside at least some time every month to sit down and, just go through a demo. Because if you're not keeping, an eye on to what's out there, then you'll never know, right? So, every day I come in, my inbox is flooded with hey, we won an award, okay, this, but I try to also lean on the relationships that I have built with people, and as they move, I always give them the opportunity to present or pitch what they're working on. So if you have a relationship with someone, definitely reach out to them, because for me, that's where, the most value is. And then luckily we work with a great partner who manages a lot of our media, and I love speaking with them about, if something comes across my plate that's interesting, I'll immediately reach out and be like, hey, have you guys heard about this? Have you worked with them? Because you have to evolve, and if you're not keeping track of what's going on out there, you'll get stuck in a wheel.
Yeah. And sorry, Clayton, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Did he have something to add? I'm just jumping in with some.
No, I'm sorry, my internet connection's in and out too.
Okay, sorry.
Well, you guys have been great. I just have a couple of questions, and one very important one for Clayton. Are you a golf pro by day and digital marketer by night? That's from Jeff.
No, I'm an amateur at both.
No,
for
that
sure.
that depends. Not that. None of that. Well, you fit the mold, especially with your.
No, there's no depends on that. Yeah, no, I am an amateur at both for sure.
Well, Ryan, I want to ask you in terms of going from, you have success, as you said, with Amazon, then you're testing Walmart. Are you finding you were sort of looking for that way of like, why do you have to, to not have to keep testing everything to the next part, to the next partner, to the next marketplace? Are you finding sort of a shortcut there, or have you come up with anything?
It's very tough, right? Every retailer is going to be different. And that's, for us, it's just keep testing. What works at one retailer might not work at another. But for the most part, what we did from our shift from Amazon to Walmart, or not really a shift, is just take our learnings, was that there was clearly going to be winners when it comes, search and display and things like that. We know what types of returns we're getting there. And even if we were to take a hit, it still would be great. So, but knowing that, everyone's trying to offer you something different, and, you got to try some stuff, but at the same time, like, there's certain things you're obviously going to know, like, that's not going to be worth it for us, especially know your category too. I think that's very important, is knowing the size of your category at the retailer. It's very hard for performance nutrition to compete with a Dyson or a Samsung, and when they're asking for funds that are at that category level, you got to make a conscious decision that it's probably not going to be a great investment. So there are certain things we know now after testing that, until they reach a certain, I guess, threshold, we know where we can start investing in those things, because there's definitely a return. It's just what they're charging might not be right for us at that moment. So again, just keep testing.
Going through each one. And so Clayton, I just want to sort of pose the same to you, but more in terms of moving forward as things are opening up. What are you seeing from your clients? What are they looking for? Is there something that's sort of working down across the line for each of them?
We are doing a lot of testing of new platforms. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's been interesting, is it's almost like there's a little bit of Amazon fatigue. Like, everybody's just kind of, I want to say, tired of working with it, because it almost always works from an attribution standpoint, or last click or sales, or whatever KPI you want to look at. I mean, it's always a good performer. But Ryan was saying, if that's all you looked at and thought of marketing as just the bottom line number, then you would basically have one partner and that would be it. And you would turn into, like a Chinese reseller of trinkets on Amazon, right? That's basically what you would end up doing. So we are seeing a lot of testing in new platforms, things like live stream shopping, and sort of the stuff that sort of merges like the social sphere with influencer and affiliate, but that can pull all of that stuff together in kind of a unique space. So, which I think is kind of interesting, considering, talk about fatigue. I think most of us are tired of kind of staring at a screen fatigue. Yeah, like, we're willing to listen to somebody for an hour tell us about what we should buy. Like, oh, this is a great jacket, and she convinced me, and so it's like, here, here's $800 for a coat I don't need because it's 100 degrees at Pinehurst, right? But I think some of those trends are kind of interesting, and for whatever reason, I don't really know what it is. It might just be that, there's a little bit of influx of budget. There might be just, again, a little bit of fatigue, but it feels like brands are really open to testing and trying out some of these new platforms. And I think some of it just stems from, they have seen so much success from the likes of Walmart and Amazon, Instacart, GoPuff, even some of those, that they're kind of like, what's next? Give me more. I want more. And there's no lack of opportunities when it comes to the e-retail space. And some cool platforms that are pushing out some really interesting stuff. And so I think I've seen a lot of that testing, which is encouraging, because I think, like Ryan, we always recommend 10% of your budget at least for testing new things throughout the year and trying new platforms, making sure that you're very structured in the way that you test. So the KPIs and objectives are very clearly defined, very easily tracked. We all are on the same page as to whether it's a success or not, or how you sort of look at that piece. But it feels like it's been rare that we've run a test or tried something out for 10, 20, 50, 100K, whatever, and you haven't continued that relationship. I think we're good at vetting on the front end. And so it feels like most of those are good fits. So by the time you do a test, it feels like you're probably in pretty good shape. But I think, the more diversification you can add to a media portfolio, the better. So it's been an exciting time.
Well, you guys were great. And Kerry, I appreciate, even though we had a little technical difficulty. Ryan, Clayton, of course, you guys were awesome. And we're going to actually continue a lot of this discussion at the roundtable at the end. So everyone jump in, and that's when you can everyone can sort of share what you've been doing. Because as you said, I think it's a lot of testing and people trying different things. So it'd be great for everyone to sort of share each individual what you've been testing, all the different brands. So that will work really well. Anyway, thanks again, guys. And I
thank